Ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
I came here to give you these facts.
All right, my friends, let us move along. So for today, the daily topic for today is something about esoteric philosophy. Okay, because we go through life every single day and we deal with all of the realities that the world is presenting us. We deal with the propagandas that is being sent out, the lies and the truths. And if we succumb to the physical world and think that that's all that there is, then we really have a problem. Because eventually we get to the point where we don't know where to go, how to go any further. It's kind of like this. We get to the path and we go through everything that we know. And then we get to this point where we don't know where to go because we've never been there, past the pillars. Okay? That's the part that we face each and every day. And so we need to have some sort of ground rules or understanding of the cosmic nature of things and how we play a part in all of that. So this book here I brought up for you is the Krybalion. This is a PDF version, so it is available for anyone to download. And the Krybalion, it's a study of Hermetic philosophy of ancient Greece, ancient Egypt and Greece, and it's by the three initiates. Very good saying here, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. Okay, Hermes Trismegistus is known by the ancients as the great or the master of the masters. I'm just going to read the introduction and we're going to get into the first chapter here. We take great pleasure in presenting to the attention of students and investigators of the secret doctrine this little work based upon the world-old Hermetic teachings. There has been so little written upon this subject, notwithstanding the countless references to the teachings in the many works among occultism, and the many earnest searchers after the arcane truths will doubtless welcome the appearance of the present volume. The purpose of this work is not the enunciation of any special philosophy or doctrine, but rather to give the student a statement of the truth that will serve to reconcile the many bits of occult knowledge that they may have acquired, but which are apparently opposed to each other and to which often serve to discourage and disgust the beginner in the study. Our intent is not to erect a new temple of knowledge, but rather to place in the hands of the student a master key with which he may open the many inner doors in the inner temple of mystery through the main portals he has already entered. There is no portion of this occult teachings possessed by the world which have been so closely guarded as the fragments of the Hermetic teachings which have come down to us over the tens of centuries which have elapsed since the lifetime of the great founder, Hermes Trismegistus, the scribe of the gods, who dwelt in old Egypt in the days when the present race of men was in its infancy. Contemporary with Abraham, and if the legends be true, an instructor of that venerable sage, Hermes was and is the great central sun of occultism, whose rays have served to illumine the countless teachings which have been promulgated since his time. All the fundamental and basic teachings embedded in the esoteric teachings of every race must be traced back to Hermes. Even the most ancient teachings of India undoubtedly have their roots in the original Hermetic teachings. From the land of the Ganges, many advanced occultists wandered to the land of Egypt and sat at the feet of the master. From him they obtained the master key which explained and reconciled their divergent views, and thus the secret doctrine was firmly established. From other lands also came the learned ones, all of whom regarded Hermes as the master of masters, and his influence was so great in spite of the many wanderings from the path and the part of centuries of teachers in these different lands, there may still be found a certain basic resemblance and correspondence which underlies the many and often quite divergent theories entertained and taught by the occultists of these different lands today. The student of comparative religions will be able to perceive the influence of the Hermetic teachings in every religion worthy of the name now known to man, whether it be a dead religion or one in full vigor in our own times. There has always been a great correspondence in spite of the contradictory features, and the Hermetic teachings act as the great reconciler. The life work of Hermes seems to have been in the direction of planting the great seed truth which has grown and blossomed in so many strange forms, but rather than to establish a school of philosophy which would dominate the world's thought. But nevertheless, the original truths taught by him have been kept intact in their original purity by the few men in each age who, refusing great numbers of half-developed students and followers, followed the Hermetic custom and reserved their truth for the few who were ready to comprehend and master it. From lip to ear, the truth has been handed down amongst the few. There have been always few initiates in each generation in the various lands of the earth who kept the sacred flame of the Hermetic teachings and have always been willing to use their lamps to light the lesser lamps of the outside world when the light of truth grew dim and clouded by reason of neglect. And when the wicks became clogged with foreign matter, there were always the few to tend faithfully to the altar of truth, upon which was kept the light, the perpetual lamp of wisdom. These men devoted their lives in the labor of love, which the poet has so well stated in his lines: "Oh, let not the flame die out, cherished age after age, in its dark cavern, in its holy temples, cherished, fed by ministers of love, let not the flame die out." These men have never sought popular approval nor numbers of followers. They are indifferent to the things, for they know there are few in each generation who are ready for the truth, who would recognize it if it were presented to them. They reserve the strong meat for men, while others furnish the milk for babies. They reserve their pearls of wisdom for the few elect who recognize their value and who wear them in their crowns instead of casting them before the materialistic vulgar swine who will trample them in the mud and mix them with their disgusting mental food. But still, these men have never forgotten or overlooked the original teachings of Hermes regarding the passing of the worlds of truth and those ready to receive it, which teaching is stated in the Krybalion as follows: "Where fall the footsteps of the Master, the ears of those ready to his teachings open wide. And again, when the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom." But their customary attitude has always been strictly in accordance with the other Hermetic aphorism. Also in the Krybalion, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. There are those who have criticized this attitude of the Hermeticist and who have claimed that they did not manifest the proper spirit in the policy of seclusion and reference. But a moment's glance back over the pages of history will show the wisdom of the masters, who knew the folly of attempting to teach to the world what it was neither ready nor willing to receive. The Hermeticists have never sought to be martyrs, and have instead sat silently with a pitying smile on their closed lips, while the heathen raged noisily about them in their customary amusement of putting to death and torture the honest but misguided enthusiasts who imagined that they could force upon the race of barbarians the truth capable of being understood only by the elect who had advanced along the path. And the spirit of persecution has not yet died out in the land. There are certain Hermetic teachings which, if publicly promulgated, would bring down the teachings of great cry of scorn and revilement from the multitude, and would again raise the cry of "Crucify, crucify." In this little work, we have endeavored to give an idea of the fundamental teachings of the Krybalion, striving to give you the working principles, leaving you to apply them yourselves, rather than attempting to work out the teachings in detail. If you are a true student, you are able to work out and apply these principles. If not, then you must develop yourself into one, for otherwise the Hermetic teachings will be as words, words, words to you. Okay, so let me jump down here. This is the crux of the matter here, the 7 principles of Hermetic philosophy. 1, the principle of mentalism, states that we live in a great mind. All is mind, mental universe. Second principle, the correspondence, says because we live in this large mind, we can correspond with every aspect of this mind because we are part of it. The highest and the lowest correspond with each other. The principle of vibration says that everything in the universe moves, vibrates, and it vibrates as it corresponds with other aspect of this mental world. The principle of polarity says that things are balanced out, 2 different poles that are part of the same energetic, while the principle of rhythm tells us that life moves in a rhythmic fashion, back and forth, to and fro. It's like we're learning to dance with life and get into the rhythm, the sync with life. Cause and effect lets us know that as we do something and create an energy or do some sort of action, there is an effect that is coming from that. And that effect causes something else, which then affects something else. And then finally, the principle of gender, that all things are male and female that interact and work together, that it is male and female that work together. Those are the 2 genders. These are the 7 principles, and when we apply these principles to life, we realize that these principles themselves are the basic foundation of all things. And all we have to do is just simply understand what each one of these are about. Now, this is a great, great piece of work here. I suggest you download this PDF and read through it. Take your time reading through it. Read through each one of these sections, because each one of these principles, each one of these 7 principles, has a whole chapter dedicated to it, so you can understand even more. But what I said to you, what I gave you as the summary of those 7, that's what those 7 are about. It's that simple. It's not a big, complicated process. So download this PDF, begin to study this if you haven't already, and I guarantee you will understand things about life in a way that is a little bit different than you understand them right now, because this will allow you the opportunity to see things from a new perspective. And isn't that part of what's going on today, looking at things from a new perspective? So there you have it. That's our topic for the day, the Krybalion. Check it out. The link's available